Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Burkus. On the other side of the screen, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, the Chicago Bears, the NFC North champion Chicago Bears, the last NFC North team standing, the last team standing that doesn't live in the NFC West. Your Chicago Bears beat the MFN Packers 31.
Whoa, MF,
Whoa, did I
settle
not say
down.
that? Did I not do that?
You're going to get some guys from Green Bay clutching the pearl. How dare they MF the Packers? Oh, my God.
They win the game 31-27.
Yes.
Ben Johnson comes in the locker room, says, F the Packers. I hate those guys. Sparks a little bit of pearl clutching hurt feelings around the social media with that team up north and those that cheer for them. I love it, Lester. I love it. This rivalry has not had juice in a very long time, but this is a rivalry with George Halas, who was a World War I and World War II veteran who knew more cuss words than any of you listening today, and used them on the sidelines constantly. Curly Lambeau, Vince Lombardi. You think Vince Lombardi would have clutched his pearls over the F word? You think Mike Ditka would have cared about that? What are we talking about here? Dick Butkus, like Ray Nitschke, like what are we doing here? These guys love that there's some juice back in this thing, and Ben Johnson is bringing it. And I don't understand the soft feelings on the other side of this. It's just that these guys haven't been punched in the mouth lately.
I think that's what it is they're spoiled. They're spoiled little brats, and they've had great quarterback play for 3 decades, right?
They know nothing else.
They have no idea how to deal with adversity as a fan, right? So now they get a little bit here. Now they're upset. Oh my God, how dare they? Then you mentioned the F-bomb on the locker room. It happened earlier this year. It may have been the Packers game. It may have been that game. There was an F-bomb that kind of slipped through on the Good, Better, Best, and the Bears social media team scrubbed it. Like they sent out an edited version, and I'm like, what happened there, right? So when I saw when I heard it last night, that's the first thing I sent out on a tweet. I'm like, hey, catch it while you can. They're gonna scrub this and censor the F-bomb, and no, they never did. It left it in there. And then Ben Johnson was asked about it today at his press conference, and George McCaskey's on the same page. They don't like the Packers.
The press conference was pretty fascinating because the beat tried to give Ben Johnson a runway, not once, not twice, but 3 different times to give a more measured response, maybe walk it back a little bit, maybe like say, it's not personal. It's, I'm just talking about the 2 franchise, give this kind of like more soft answer. Ben Johnson, this is a rivalry. Chicago, Green Bay, I don't like that team.
Yep.
And I talked to George and he's in agreement. Yep. Like this guy, this guy is Rich Eisen earlier today called him a particular type of insane or something like that. There was some, I'm paraphrasing, and he's like, but he's Chicago's crazy guy, and the Bears fans are all about it. And it's like, you're goddamn right. You're goddamn right, Rich Eisen. He is that particular brand of crazy, and he is the type of crazy that Bears fans are going to get behind and are going to love because it is directionally correct. This is exactly the type of guy that Bears fans have needed at the head coaching position. Again, I mentioned George Halas. George Halas was the owner. He was like, you actually read about this guy, like just a cussing Navy guy, right? Like, I mean, he would have bent every single rule to get a W, right? Like, this guy was insane. Okay. And he did many, many times to for the Bears to get more wins. Mike Ditka, firebrand. I mean, like, obviously former player, firebrand, like and his rants are legendary, right? This is a modern mad genius, but he's also that particular kind of crazy. If he's not already in your inner circle of favorite Bears coaches in that maybe you never saw in history and those that you have lived through, like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, he is absolutely what this city needed.
Lovie Smith had that to a point, right? Where, he talked about the Packers from day one. And, you got that sense for his team, they had that rivalry, Urlacher, Crooch, that era. They really talked about the Packers, and about they didn't like that team over there. But, it's different when the head coach drops an F-bomb, right? It's different when the head coach is the one saying that. It's different when it's coming from the chairman. The chairman now is on board, of course, with this viral F-bomb. So it's different. And you don't think Roger Goodell and the NFL office do not love what's happening here with the Bears Packers? It's a rivalry again. It matters. The Bears are one of the final team standing here. Chicago, man. When the Chicago Bears are good, and I know a lot of our listeners are not as old as me. When Chicago is good, it's just good. It's a Bears town, throughout. It's going to be great to see if the Bears keep this going. It's a tough matchup against the Rams. We'll see what happens. But regardless, Ben Johnson's that particular kind of crazy. And he's got a quarterback that's just as crazy because Caleb Williams is right there with him, right? He's got that psycho gene where he wants to be great. So these two paired up for the next decade plus, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too. Let's get into the categories. There's a lot of stuff to get through, so we want to make sure we cover it all. But we always start in the trenches. Trench tribute. Where do you want to go for the playoff win against the Packers? Who you want to give the trench tribute to?
I could have gone a few different ways, and I'll touch on a few guys later on in the hot bowl. But I'm going to go Ozzie Trapillo,
okay,
left tackle, and I had it in my mind to give it to him when he hobbled off the field when he hurt his knee, patellar tendon rupture, something's bad, whatever it is, it's bad. But this guy realized the situation. Waning seconds of the game. I cannot cost my team a timeout. He got off the field to save his team a timeout. And then you realize, man, he had a pretty good game as well, because I never heard his name called once. He was doing a good job in there. I got to go Ozzie. I mean, that just shows from a rookie to understand the gravity of the situation to do that. And then when you look at the other side of the field, a Packer player, the same thing happened, right? He went down, he got hurt, he caused a 10-second runoff. Then it comes out today he's got a bone bruise. What? And then, of course, Packer fans are livid. If you on social media, you read this, they're livid that this guy cost their team the 10-second runoff there. But, sometimes it's, the navy and orange, you're built different under Ben Johnson. That psycho from him is kind of going through his players, and they know, man, I got to get off the field. I cannot cost my team a timeout. I can't cost a 10-second runoff. Smart play right there from your rookie left tackle.
Yeah, I had two names written down. One of them was Ozzie. I wanted to make sure that we gave him one piece of this trench tribute if possible. Obviously, the fifth offensive lineman, right? Like, I mean, the other four guys have been talked about much more than him. He has the fewest number of reps, obviously, since he was a rookie, and it took him a while to come on. Braxton Jones made the first starts. Theo Benedict made the middle starts, and he made the end starts. I think played probably a pretty solid game overall, but if that's not why you're giving it to him, you're giving it to him for that awareness, that toughness. That is a giant human being that knew he was hurt and he had to come off, but he wasn't going to stay down. And to be able to get up and hop off at, what is he, 6'8",
right?
Like get up with one leg and then hop over, I think is just, an incredible effort. But that is situational awareness. That's really understanding what you have to do. And that's so scary too, when something's wrong. Like something stops working and, for you to be able to get up and know that you got to get off the field. And I don't want to like rag on the Packers guy too much, because like, I'm sure he thought he was, and the reality is, the 10-second runoff might have actually been a gift for them, because they had to run down the field, be set for a full second, and then snap the ball. That may have taken longer than 10 seconds. Like that's one of those, like, that might have actually benefited them a little bit. But yes, it is funny that, that there's a stark difference between the two within, very short amount of time. And one had a very serious injury, got off the field. for him, like, we don't want to speculate how serious that injury is, how long it's going to take for him to be able to get back. If you want to look at it from, you know, the pessimistic perspective or whatever, there's a lot of guys that this really does impact their career. But there's also plenty of guys that have been able to make a full recovery. This probably will be something we'll need to talk about in the off season, because the Bears are not going to be able to count on him for sure to be their week 1 starting left tackle next year. So they're probably going to have to make a move to either have a short bridge until he can show that he's coming back, maybe invest some capital in the draft, whatever that may be. So it does have long-term ramifications. Obviously, he's out for the year. Probably going to see Theo Benedict step in for him in the next playoff game. But Ben Johnson said if his number is what is called, then he'll be ready. That opens the door for some speculation, and maybe that's Braxton Jones who comes back, who was activated last week. So, it's unknown. It is good that Braxton is healthy enough to be able to be active at this point, given that injury. But you had multiple starts from Theo. They felt good enough to play him at that point. He was obviously playing in this game as well, doing some interesting stuff.
Running a post out to clear out the thing, and
running
that
a 16 miles per hour post. Gotta love that. So good stuff from him as well. I wanted to give it to the defense. Actually, I wanted to give it to Austin Booker. He had the lone sack, but he was just kind of a menace. He's doing the thing where he's getting after it, and he's making a difference. And Jordan Love's tough to sack. He's not a guy that he doesn't take a lot of sacks. He gets rid of the ball. Packers protect him pretty well. So, he did get home once, but more so, I think just the pressures and really everything just kind of got turned up in the second half. And he was a big reason for that. Again, this is the guy that you were hoping was going to be a situational pass rusher this year, DE3. He's really stepped into a starter's role. After Deo's injury, and I think he's been an overall plus for this team that doesn't have a good pass rush, the below average in sacks and all that. So I wanted to give it to Booker.
Real quick on Booker, I think part of the reason they signed Deo, they didn't think Booker was going to be able to make a leap, or you can't count on the leap. Let me just say that. Yeah. So Deo was a guy they had to go out and say, look, we got to have a starter. Right, Deo's a starter. He'll be the guy who comes in here. But now seeing Booker play here for the last, how many games he's played here, I'm pretty sure they're comfortable going to next season's Booker as your DE across from Sweat, because Booker has been pretty good. The hustle, obviously he has the pressures. He plays with some speed, he plays with some edge, and he plays to the echo of the whistle, and that's the kind of guy you want to have on your defense.
Yep, absolutely, love it. Let's we're gonna get into our numbers game. Let's start there. So why don't you give us your stat for this game that popped out to you?
My stat this week is 0.86.
Okay,
that is the yards per carry for the Packers in the second half of this ball.
Oh,
yeah, 0.86, 7 attempts, 6 yards. And look, that defense was rough, right? First half, but they turned it around. Whatever they did, whatever Coach Dennis Allen did in the locker room, however they changed things up, they were able to come out there and at least make Green Bay one-dimensional. And look, Jordan Love's a great quarterback. I mean, I know a lot of Bears fans want to rag on him, but he is a good Pro Bowl-esque type of player. That's who he is, right? So he got some of his, but when you're making team one-dimensional and the Packers could not run in the second half, that helps your defense overall. We saw the Bears get their hand on some balls, some past deflections in the secondary, and then you're forcing them to kind of do it, because you can't run. And Josh Jacobs is a tremendous tailback too. So the fact that they were able to kind of bottle them up, kind of change that, kind of flip the narrative of the entire second half, I had to shout out the Bears D-line as a whole there.
Yeah, that's a great poll too, because I didn't know that, but I knew that they weren't running the ball much. Yeah. And obviously they weren't having a lot of success. So that's pretty incredible to average under 1 yard a carry in the second half when you're up 21-3 coming out of the half. Yeah. Right. So that's one of those where you want to just kind of run the ball, take the air out of the ball. And they were forcing those 3 and outs. They were forcing punts early and in that second half. And that really helped turn the game. I know a lot of Bears fans were giving up, even the ones that are usually the the biggest rah-rah people, right?
Yeah.
They were tweeting out like, it's over, great season, guys. Thanks for coming, tip your wait staff. They were done at halftime. And I think the feeling was, well, even if this offense catches up, the defense is just getting shelled.
Yes.
And so it took all three units to really step up and start this comeback. But it had to happen on defense too, right? Like they had to find ways to force the Packers to give the ball back. So yeah, good stuff there. All right, my number is 6. 6 different players recorded an explosive catch, a catch of 20 yards or more. So Kyle Monungai, DeAndre Swift, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, and DJ Moore all had an explosive catch. Colson Loveland, my friend, had 4.
Oh my God.
So 9 total, but 6 different players had an explosive catch. So I think a pretty incredible effort from Caleb to distribute the ball from some. I mean, like the Monungai explosive catch was, a lot of him doing that after the catch. Like, Swift was a nice coverage breakdown that he exploited. The Adunze explosive is obviously the throw. With I was going to ask you, what's your favorite throw of the year that Caleb has made this year? But the latest iteration that Rome was on the other side of that. And then just Loveland. Like it just kept happening over and over and over. So in the biggest moments, and most of these are towards the end of the game. A lot of this was fourth quarter. So I thought that really jumped out to me as not only was it 9 explosive passes, but 6 different guys on the receiving end.
It's funny you mentioned that because on my drive home after physical therapy today, I was listening to the score and they talked about Caleb's 9 explosive plays, right? When did those all take place? I'm not sure, but there has to be some sort of record. I mean, this was just a, I mean, I'm not sure how much that has been tracked. You talk about explosives, kind of a newer thing that the league has kind of looked at, but yeah, that's wild. 9 explosives from this offense.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick look at my chart that I've been charting all year, which I have everything color coded by game. I don't think they came anywhere close. I'm seeing 6 against the Giants, 6 against the Ravens, and 5 against the Saints, 7 against the Niners. But yeah, 9 clearly is the best of the year. So pretty incredible job.
That's awesome.
By Ben Johnson, by this offense, by hunting for explosives. And this is also one of those things too, where I think I tried to make the point recently where people are like, the Bears and their turnovers and they're not it's all random and stuff. It's like, well, it's not like they're just sitting on a bunch of leads and they're just taking the ball away at the end. That team is up all the time, so that's how they rack up the sacks and the turnovers. Like, no, these are just like Bears are behind. They're coming from behind here, and so the Bears are coming from behind, but the Packers are trying to prevent the bigger plays. Like that's the kind of mode you get into when you're trying to sit on a lead. You're like, we'll give you the underneath stuff. Bears are still hitting these. They're hitting them late in the game when they're coming back. So it's a extra impressive, I think, in this particular game for that. So let's head to social media. Why don't you start us off?
So I got a tweet today from Patrick Sheldon at P_Shells. Can we all just take a moment to appreciate that we have a QB who can make these throws? And he was quote tweeting, of course, that 4th and 8. Nice one to Roma Dunze. On the biggest stage against our biggest rival, GD, it feels good. #Bears. I mean, you just said it earlier. I mean, what's the best throw of Caleb has made this year? I mean, is this it? I mean, it could be it, but it's just one of many. It's in the team picture for sure, but man, there has been so many times this year where you see a throw by Caleb and you're like, that's the throw, right? It's ridiculous how good he's been this year, and it's year 1 of this adventure.
It's an off-season project. I'm gonna absolutely have to compile all these, and no doubt about it. But this is the leader in the clubhouse because one, the game situation.
Yeah.
It's 4th and gotta have it. The game's over if you don't get this. The degree of difficulty of sprinting to your left with a rusher, trying to make the tackle, uh, leading Roma Dunze to a spot where there's a bunch of people around. Like this is not like he's just wide open sitting there. You just got to get him the ball. Like this was like it had to be in that spot. And then he's 1 foot's off the ground. The other is coming off the ground. That's all arm. Like I'm not sure how he's getting anything torque wise, and he's fitting it in perfectly. And then there's that moment that, if you haven't seen it on social media, whatever, there's this moment where it looks like Caleb's got the Jordan jump man.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's nothing more amazing in Chicago than that. Like that is iconic. And it's against the rival. It's the biggest stakes. It's the playoffs. It's all that. So I do think that one's going to go down as like the throw of the year. And there's been a couple of people that I saw. Matt Leiners said, "Hey, I've been thinking about this throw all day. I think it's the best throw I've ever seen." Booger McFarland, I think, was out there saying this is the best throw I've ever seen. So I mean, there's some NFL guys that have been around for. I'm not saying Matt Leiners like a historian or anything like that, but played professional football, played the quarterback position, probably threw some good passes in his day as well. And he's looking at it going, yeah, I don't think there's a better pass than that. Right. So this is a Chicago Bears quarterback that's doing this. Get like pinch yourself, guys. Like this is a real thing that's happening in our lives. It's pretty amazing. And it's year 1 of the Ben Johnson offense, year 2 of his career. Pretty darn cool.
Pretty good.
All right. Mine is more fun. I really like Roger. Roger Sherman's really funny. He's at Roger, which I'm sure he was like, I don't know, Twitter user number like 48 to be able to get that. But he was quote tweeting the post game booth, the post game program with Sherm and Whitworth and all those guys. And at the end of the interview, they handed them all the cheese grater hats, and then Fitzpatrick hands Caleb an actual cheese grater and a block of cheese, and Caleb picks it up and he starts going for it.
You went to town. Yeah.
He gives like a crazy face, the crowd's loving it. And so Roger says he grates like a quarter block of cheese in maybe 5 seconds. Generational talent, the great one. And I thought it's just fun. Like there's just some fun stuff going on. And this goes back to Ben Johnson saying F the pack and going all this. Like this was supposed to be a rivalry. Like you go back and you listen and you watch all of the old stuff and like you read books about it. And like these teams hated each other. And recently the NFL, I think, is a lot friendlier. Players like they went to college together, they go talk to each other. There's a lot of movement, free agency. Like it's less that, and they're all making a lot of money, right? It's less, antagonistic, all that stuff, right? But I think it's healthy to have these fan bases that embrace this rivalry. Like, oh, you wear a block of cheese on your head? Well, we're gonna, our wide receiver is gonna wear the cheese grater on his head after he catches a game-winning touchdown pass, and we're gonna embrace it. We're gonna actually grate cheese on the set here. Like that's fun. Right. Like, and the Packers will come back and they'll do something, hopefully in 15 years when they win the next game for them, like whatever it is. Right. So I think that this is fun. Like that was a fun segment. Everybody's having a good time. I think that this is only good for the game, for the sport, for both teams.
Yeah. I mean, is it goofy? Yeah, it's goofy, but who cares? It's sports. You can't take it too seriously. Look, when DJ Moore did it and he put the hat on in the locker room, again, that triggered Packer fans. They're not used to it. Man, we just lost, and now this guy's wearing a foam thing on his head. That's so cringe. Okay, well, your identity as a fan base are these stupid ass cheese on your head. Who cares? You look like a dumbass wearing a block of cheese. He looks like a dumbass wearing a cheese grater. Who cares? It is what it is. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, you said Caleb was going to town on that cheese. I saw that tweet, the great one. That's perfect. That's going to stick. I hope that's I hope that can add to the Iceman and the Superman, and let's get the great one put up there on Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, I need a t-shirt with him with that face with the
You
head
know,
and the
I got one for you. My guys just sent me a thing earlier today. So in a little while, when we get off the show, I'm going to tweet out a link to my guys. They just got a shirt dropped, and it's NFLPA approved. So it's actually Caleb on there doing his thing. I got you guys.
I love it. Yeah, definitely check that out. And hopefully it's not a tease like Kyle Brandt's free Menungai's scepter t-shirt that sold out in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he offered like 20. Good for Kyle Brandt. Like that was cool. I did try to get one, and I think I was like 45 seconds in. And it was like, no, that
Sold
code
out,
is
yeah.
dead. I was like, I even preloaded this. Like I was ready to go. This is insane. All right, let's head to Caleb's corner. 24 or 48. We've talked about completion percentage. I was going to read Matthew Stafford's stat line and then be like, oh no, that was Matthew Stafford. Like pretty much he was at like almost about 50%. Like quarterbacks across the league, it's playoff football, right? Like completion percentage is not great everywhere, but obviously this has been Caleb's thing. 24, 48, 361 yards, quite a lot. We talked about all those explosive plays. He had 2 touchdown passes. He also had 2 interceptions, which we'll talk about in a second. Took 1 sack for a 9-yard loss, added 4 carries for 20 yards, had 6 big time throws, which was the most that PFF has charted this year. So I thought that was important to throw in there. I want to talk about the two interceptions real quick. One, both of them were on 4th down.
Yes.
The first one was a miscommunication with Luther Burden. I would imagine if they were on the same page, that looked pretty wide open. I think that was probably going to be a pretty big play there if they were on the same page. Obviously, Caleb was not happy. He was emotional on the side, or let his anger show. Some people called out the bad body language. The body language police, if they can go away forever. I hated that since the Cutler days. Like, just I don't need to hear it. I don't need to do it. I don't need to do the body language thing. But then again, like, Tom Brady yelled on the sidelines too. But well, that's Tom Brady. Right? Yeah. He earned that. I was like, no, Caleb's taken over ownership of this team, right? And if I'm going to trust Caleb that he threw it where he thought Luther Burden was going to need to be, I think Ben Johnson pretty much confirmed that today.
He did today.
And that mistake turned out to be a good thing in terms of, like, if you're going to make a mistake, throw an interception, throw it on 4th down, and the dummy, safety is going to take it to pad his stats and fall down as he's catching it, and make it easy for him to be downed right where he caught it. So that was one. The other one, his primary fell down. His secondary got knocked off his route. I think he had to just throw it up, and it got intercepted on 4th down as well. So this was not like, oh, it's a new Caleb. He's now throwing interceptions. Yeah. I think both of them can be explained pretty well. I'm not worried about either of those. Obviously, you don't want to see interceptions ever, but given the context, I'm not worried about it saying something bigger than what it is. Overall, with this amazing comeback, all these big time throws, all these explosive plays, how did you take Caleb's performance in this one?
I mean, I thought he had command of the game, right? I mean, it's like everyone wants to harp on the completion percentage. Like it doesn't fit. Like when you watch the game, never once do you feel to yourself, "Oh my God, he's missing too much," right? And it's like as the flow of the game happens, you mentioned the explosive. That's a part of it. Did you see the people comparing Caleb's game to like Seth Curry in the NBA? How if you're 30% on threes, that's the same as being 50% on twos, right? It's like a different completion percentage where the way he's playing football is it a different way that other quarterbacks are playing. You mentioned there's not a lot of dinking and dunking. They're stretching the field. They're trying to get these explosives, and that loosens a defense up. And then who knows? This week we may see a different game plan. We may see things a little shorter. We may see them trying to run the ball a little more, and that could be because the Rams are worried about the explosive, right? So maybe they kind of play off and see what happens here against the Rams. But I thought it was a good game. And then look, if it's 4th down, it's a turnover anyway. The interception doesn't matter. It's irrelevant at that point, right? So there's no reason to keep that holstered. Fire that ball. If it happens, good for you, good. If not, it's a turnover anyway on down. So I have no problem with either one of those picks. And like you said, The one was an arm punt. Who cares? You know, that guy intercepted it. Even Ben Johnson made a little quip about that today, saying that's good for us that he intercepted it because it was like a 35-yard swing.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact tweet and who put it out there, but there was something about Caleb having basically very few throws near the line of scrimmage. And
Yeah,
so his air yards per attempt and all that kind of stuff was pretty high, but and which really does even out that lower completion percentage overall when you look at some of those other stats. But so I wish I could find it off the top of my head, but it was like the lowest percentage in like 5 years or something like that, like in terms of number of throws that were near the line of scrimmage. So
oh wow,
he was pushing the ball down the field, and this was an aggressive game plan. And, Ben Johnson was aggressive going for it on fourth down. Like, I mean, everything was aggressive, and I like that brand of football, right? And
yeah.
it took a while to put points on the board. I get that, but overall, once this thing starts like really being tightened up and clicking in, we're going to be seeing 30, 40 points, like going to be pretty common. Like we're going to be, yeah, okay, well, Caleb threw 5 touchdown passes. Like this thing's going, like you can kind of tell the right direction. I wanted to give a little room here to share something that someone tagged me in to, and I thought it was probably worth sharing on the show. This was the tag, the handle is can't use Twitter, but then like instead of the E in Twitter, it's an underscore. So or it's after there's an underscore in there. Anyway, they won't let him use the word Twitter in his name.
Oh, that's true. That's a thing I heard.
Yeah, that's a thing. So his name is can't use twit E_R. Anyway, he made the observation that Caleb has as many wins against Green Bay as the Bears had between the NFC Championship game loss and him being drafted. And so I went back and I counted it up just to like confirm. Caleb's 3-2 against the Packers. The Bears record against the Packers after the NFC Championship game loss and before Caleb was drafted was 3-23. So new era is upon us, right?
New era for sure. Yeah.
This ugly thing. So I thought that was worth mentioning in Caleb's corner as well. So overall, I think you have to be impressed with, it's not linear development, but it's darn close to linear development. Like I always say, development is not linear with quarterbacks, and it's like yeah, this is true, but man, this is pretty close. Like he continues to just get better. It seems every week, and I'm so excited to continue to be able to get to watch this guy. Like that, this is like our future lives are going to be enriched by the fact that we get to have, what's the throw of the year? We've got like 10 candidates that we've never seen before. This looks awesome. Like these conversations that we get to have here are going to be pretty incredible.
I mean, he's mentioned in the same breath, right? The arm talent and stuff. I did a radio spot this morning on a station in Iowa, actually, and the guy is a huge Chiefs fan. Right? We're talking, and he said, "I'm a Chiefs fan, right?" So Mahomes, the stuff I saw Caleb doing and have been doing this year, the only guys I see do it is Mahomes and Josh Allen on occasion. And I'm like, those are 2 good names to be mentioned with,
Yeah.
So, it's like, yeah, as Bears fans, look, there's a lot of us still like, okay, we got to wait and see. Let's make sure. But league wise, fans of other teams, they notice, they see the special talent that the Bears have at quarterback. And so do Packer fans. And that's why Packer fans are so triggered right now, because they don't know what to do. Like, can you imagine being a Packer fan for 30 years? You've had this rivalry. You've had 2 great quarterbacks, and now you may have to be on the other side of it for a little while. That's painful.
I mean, there are an insane number of Packer fans that have never lived a day of their life where they had a worse quarterback than the Bears.
Yeah.
Right. And again, like you want to say, Jordan Love's still better. Like I'm not, whatever. Like I think
he's good. Yes, he is.
I think Jordan Love's a good player. I think he's really good in structure. Like he's taken his game to the point where he is an incredibly efficient quarterback. I don't think he's that creative. Right. So you have this like difference of style right now. But to me, the Love experience, if it's going to continue to improve, the rate of improvement is not the acceleration is not that much, right? Whereas Caleb can see it, the arrow is just pointing up so much right now. So, to me, even if you wanted to have that conversation, fine. But if we're going to have this conversation at this time next year, I mean, if things continue in this direction, no one's going to be defending Love over Caleb at this point. So at this point next year. So that's where I'm at. I think we are a very short distance away from everybody agreeing that the Bears have the guy. And that's really cool. And all the quarterback experts have been like, ahead of this, right? All the guys that are, content creators that really do know this stuff, like they're always just a little bit, hey guys, like what's happening here is real. Hey guys, this is impressive stuff. Hey guys, like this, I've got this guy. I think it was Solak that was on. It was a couple weeks ago, and I think he was on with Kay Adams, and she said something about it. I don't remember the quarterback, and he was like, "Oh, I would absolutely have Caleb ahead of him," and she's like, "What?" Like she was just shocked that this was the answer. I mean, it might have been Jalen Hurts, and he's like, "It's not even close. Like, what are we doing here, Kay?" Like, and he like laid it all out. And this was weeks and weeks ago, though. Like this was still when he, was kind of on, just starting to turn heads. So it's coming, guys. Like we'll have the offseason to talk about it, but I think this was just another example of what he can do that very few others can. So we're going to take a quick break. Other side of it, we're going to do the Three Bears, everybody's favorite segment. Stick with us. Okay, Lester, Three Bears, hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, just right. Let's start with the hot. Who you got?
I'm going back to the defensive line. Okay. And I'm going to go Montez Sweat, who got a game ball, right? He got a game ball in the locker room, and some fans are like, why is he getting a game ball, right? They're like, what happened here? 3 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, 1 pass defense. And then again, we talk about pressures. It depends who charged them. But the thing I saw, I think it was PFF, they had him down for 6 pressures. So at the end of that game, in the second half, when the defense kind of came alive here, he impacted the game. He impacted a lot of Jordan Love's throws. He was in there. He was harassing him. He was hitting him. And look, I just want to shout him out because the team did. And like I said, some fans were like, what's happening here? Well, that's why. I mean, he's not going to always have, sacks every game, but there's other ways you can impact the game. And I thought he did it. It's Sweat and Booker, both these guys got to stay hot, right? Because now they're going against the Rams, another, the best offense in the league, and you've got to get at Stafford. Stafford is he's at that level. He's in the MVP conversation this year, and you got to get after him. So Sweat's got to pick it up this week too.
Second to last play had the pressure. Was able to just hit Jordan Love's arm. Ball falls harmless to the turf. Have no idea what that play looked like in terms of if he had anybody open, if that had a chance, but he ended that opportunity, and then it was down to 1 play. Right. So, yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why he got the game ball, and he was a menace. He was bothering Love in the second half, and everything matters. And Montez Sweat is an interesting player because, you and I think have been pretty firm. This is a good football player. Yeah. So, your team is better with him. And a lot of people want to go, contract, they're paying him to be this, and he's not. And it's like, the contract stuff, let's talk about that in the offseason.
Yeah.
They made their team. This is how they divided the pie. This is what they're going in with. Nothing is effed for next year. Nothing, like, if they're not in a bad cap spot for the next few years or anything. It's not like they're the Saints or like, nothing to worry about. So let's just cheer for this team as it is and who they are, and respect the fact that Montez Sweat's a good football player and he's making a positive impact on your team. And absolutely, I think he totally deserved it. I wrote down 2 names like normal. So I just want to make sure that we mention DeMarco Jackson stepping in.
Yes.
Thought he played well. I thought he played well his first stint, and I think he has played well. I think he played well in this game as well. obviously, always tough when you lose a guy to injury, especially a captain. Much respect to TJ and what he's done, this year for this team. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish out this game, and he won't be, able to play through the rest of the year. However, Jackson, I think, has played very well in his stead. I think this is one of those situations where there's not a big drop off. Different skills, but he's played very well, and I think the Bears are in really good shape with him. So I wanted to make sure we at least mentioned him. And then for me, I got to go to Loveland. He had eight catches for 137 yards. Four of them were explosive plays, and I just like, man, I gotta tell you, I love how much we were just on the Loveland, like, chill the F out, everybody,
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be fine. And he has just come on so amazing where everybody like Robert Mays this week. And I know Robert Mays is a Bears fan, but he's normally like a self-hating Bears fan in a lot of ways. Like he's usually really negative about the team. He said that Loveland was the best offensive draft pick in the draft this year. That was what he came out. He's like, I don't think it's particularly close. Like this is my guy, right? And it's hard to argue with that. Like I think the Bears absolutely nailed it here. Trevor Sikkema on his NFL Stock Exchange podcast that was out today, they were grading all the first round picks. He gave the Bears an A+ for Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
Like this is a guy who's going to be the centerpiece of the passing offense, and he's a good blocker, and he's got the best hands, and like you need a bucket guy, and like also explosive plays. Like this is get your jerseys. Like if you're like, this is the type of guy where you're like, oh yeah, this is real. Like let's go buy an 84, right? Like, this is a real guy. Like this is a guy that we're going to be talking about a lot in the coming years. In the first playoff game, and he puts up over 100 yards as a tight end. Yeah, bring it on. Love it.
Colston Loveland's last 3 games, and I wrote this down because if you didn't mention Colston here, I was going to come back and give me one more hot. So last 3 games, 24 receptions, 322 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last 3 games, he's a difference maker. I mean, he is a guy that can change game plans because as a defense, are you going to put a corner on him? Are you going to put a safety on him? Are you going to put a linebacker on him? How are you going to block him? The Bears are going to come out and spread out. Okay, now what do? They're going to come in with 3 tight end sets. Okay, how are you going to match that up? Because he, like you said, he can block. He's not just a move tight end out there, running around. He's getting down and dirty with it. So yeah, I love this pick when they made it. And did you happen to catch? And oh my God, this account, this should have their own wing in the cold. What's that one that takes cold takes? What the hell is that count? You know what I'm talking about?
Freezing.
Yes. So the ESPN Milwaukee site. Oh my God, they have the worst. The clip of theirs. It's like
they're everywhere.
They're all over Bears Twitter. They had to tweet out. Someone tweeted it. Their take on Loveland. They were just laughing at the Bears. How could they take this guy? And it's not just them. There were a lot of people that questioned the pick at the time. Why not Tyler Warren, right? Give me a break. This guy is, like I said, 21 years old, putting up these kind of numbers, historic playoff appearance. It's just a cold takes exposed. That's the thing I was trying to think of there.
Freezing. I thought it was freezing
cold takes. Man, nobody knows.
Freezing cold takes.
I have a hard enough time with names. I can't remember the Twitter name either. Jeez.
Well, I think everybody's favorite Packers content creator blocked them years ago because he got cited so often by them, and so he blocked them on Twitter, which I think is particularly funny for that.
That's another guy that has his own wing in the freezing cold takes. Yeah.
I'll just say, like, don't interact with those people. Don't pay for their McDonald's. Right?
They don't know ball.
They're just trolls. They're just trying to get you to get help pay for their next meal. So all right, turn it around. Cold bowl of porridge. Where do you want to go?
I had a hard time finding someone on this because the defense, as bad as they were in the first half, they turned things up in the second half. So it's like, okay, where do you go here? I had 2 things written down, and neither one is I'm feeling really good about here. So I'm going to go the same way I went last week. Torrey Taylor. He didn't
Yeah,
punt once.
didn't do a damn
He
thing.
didn't do nothing. Is he going to earn his paycheck here?
You're going to spend a 4th round pick on a guy that doesn't even help you in a playoff game?
He's holding for Cairo.
Unbelievable. What terrible. A waste.
That's it. That's what I got. Tory Taylor this week because you didn't do a damn thing.
What a waste. Go and sit in the corner. All right. Mine, I'm actually going to go to the same place I went last week. I'm going to go to Dexter because that fumble recovery attempt was awful as two guys that spent our playing career, with their hand in the dirt. You have to know what your limitations are as an athlete and how you how many times did you do fumble drill, right? Like what, and it's not like you weren't the guy that was like, hey man, scoop and score. Like that wasn't what you were taught. It was, you are diving on the ground and you are, cradling it in a very specific way, on your side. And then your teammate's supposed to come in and cover you up, right? Like, so no one can get in there. And I don't know what he was thinking the last few weeks when the ball's been on the ground. He tried to pick it up a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And then this one, I don't know, like body bounced it out of, like, what are you doing? Like totally out of control. And it's very disappointing from a big guy, right? The Packers put the ball on the ground 3 times.
Yeah.
The first time, Christian Watson fumble, like at the 1 yard line, went in the end zone. The Packers were able to recover it. They in the end zone, they bring it back to the 1, all that kind of stuff, or whatever it was. The Bears didn't, if the Bears are able to get that one, 7 points off the board because they score a few plays later. The second one was the ball that we're talking about here that Dexter bounces out. They force the fumble of a lineman running the ball like he thinks he's Josh Jacobs. Like, what are we doing here, right? Like, take advantage of that. They put the ball on the ground and Dexter bounces it out of bounds. Absolutely unacceptable. Can't do it. The third one, Josh Jacobs acting like he's Devin Hester returning the ball. Know your role. You're a running back. What are you doing returning kicks? He fumbles, and the Packers recover that one. That was around midfield. So for all of the like turnover luck that everybody talks about, again, I think it's BS. Turnover luck is if you had, if you force 20 fumbles and you recovered 18 of them, that's turnover luck because generally you're going to recover about 50% of the fumbles. Bears forced 3 of these fumbles and recorded 0. They had bad turnover luck here and they still managed to win, but they absolutely should have recovered this one that Dexter messed up. That's the one that they absolutely should have recovered, would have set him up in really great field position to try to get back in this game a little quicker. It would have been probably around the 20-yard line or something like that. So that's my cold ball.
That's crazy because I told you I wrote 2 things down, right? Mm-hmm. And they're both were kind of tongue in cheek. So, but you just explained away like a real, like I had written down no turnovers. This is the first time the Bears had no turnovers since October 26th in a game, or the defense had no takeaways since October 26th. So mine was more tongue in cheek, like, the defense got to step up. It's been months since they had, it's a game this bad, but you explained perfectly what I was going to make a joke about. But yeah, no, that's true. 3 times balls in the ground. 3 times they had a chance to get it. And did you see people mad at Kevin Byard about he didn't recover that fumble in the end zone? Oh, he's not paying attention. It's like a split second. That's ridiculous. Some fans just want to be mad. And they want to be mad. There was nothing wrong there.
No, that one I'm not at all. I mean, the scrum on kickoff too, it is what it is. That one's a true 50-50. The one on the kickoff. But the Dexter one really is bad. And Gordon could have picked off 2 balls in the last drive. He was in perfect phase early on. He turns around. It's a great pass defense. Split second earlier, Gordon's going to just pick that off. Game's over. And then the last one in the end zone, it just bounces off his chest. Why not pick that one off and instead, pad your stat a little bit. So, yeah, whatever. All right, that's the cold bowl. Obviously, we're not mad at anybody with the playoff victory. How about just right? Where do you want to go with this?
Again, I'm going back to the defense.
Okay.
How about the old veteran Grady Jarrett, right?
Okay.
5 tackles. He had a quarterback hit. He had one of those forced fumbles, right? Playing pretty good football. This is why you signed him, right? To come in and be a presence. And in the second half, he was a big part of the of that run defense of just shutting down Josh Jacobs. So look, if this is the Grady Jarrett that Bears get for this playoff run, I think that's a good place to be in. And look, and then Ben Johnson talked about how the comeback, right? They showed the 28-3 Super Bowl clip, right? Because they had Joe Tooney.
Fascinating.
They have Grady Jarrett, one on each side. And hey, can you guys both speak of your experiences in this game? And that was a preseason thing they did, and that's resonated this whole season, because now these comebacks, they're never out of it. Like, they always believe they have a chance. And look, the two guys part of the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history are on your team, one on each side. I mean, it's got to be rough for Grady Jarrett to hear about it talked about, because, obviously he was on the Falcon side of things, but it's great perspective for this young team. He's in there doing what he has to do, and let's get Grady Jarrett a ring so we can forget about that 28-3 crap.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, guy coming back from injury, then he gets hurt, dinged up a little bit early in the year. People are like, "Oh, guy, he's washed. He's out of here." He's a good football player. Football's tough, so absolutely coming on at the right time. If you're gonna be playing your best football, play it when the weather's cold, right? Like, good stuff there. All right, I want to give it to our guy, Cairo Santos.
There it is.
3 for 3 in field goals, including a 51-yarder, 2 for 2 in extra points. And let me just read off his counterpart, Brandon McManus, 0 for 2 in field goals and 3 for 4 in extra points. Yeah, that seems like maybe a pretty big difference. And look, we've talked about Cairo a lot because he comes up in the comments section. Hey, do the Bears have a Cairo Santos problem? Do they need to get rid of Cairo Santos? And we've been pretty defensive of Santos and saying he's a good kicker. He's accurate. He's solid within his range. Ben Johnson knows how to manage to that. And he's been really pretty good on these kickoffs, like those dirty kickoffs and all that kind of stuff. He's been pretty good at all this. This is an absolute like extra point column here for why it's tough to kick in Soldier Field. And Bears fans should know this. There's plenty of examples of kickers on the Bears that have not kicked well here. But here, Brandon McManus, I know he hasn't had a good year, but he's a professional. He's been around the league for a really long time. He was terrible. I mean, that Packers fans are putting all of the blame on him.
Yeah.
He deserves a big chunk of it. But it's tough to kick in Soldier Field in winter. And Cairo Santos made it look easy. I mean, he was splitting the uprights right down the middle. So, I mean, like, this is why you are pretty comfortable with Cairo, because you know what he's capable of, and then he follows through with perfection when it matters most.
Longest field goal in playoff Chicago Bears history, that 51-yarder he hit. I mean, he's it's funny because, like, we're in a chat, right? And the chat, for the most part, they can't stand Cairo Santos. They want a big leg kicker. And I'm watching these playoff games, and I've been watching these games the last few weeks, right? When it's tight, right? It's playoff time. A lot of these games are win or go home, in the later part of the year. And I'm watching kickers miss kicks. And I'm watching it happen. And every time it happens, I'm like, sucks they don't have a guy like Cairo Santos. I mean, look, I would love to have a guy that can nail a 65-yard kick, but there's like two guys in there that you really, really, really trust doing that. And that's the guy for the Jags, the guy for the Cowboys, right? There are some guys that you might trot out there, but those guys have been pretty good this year on those kicks. Those guys don't exist very often. And then I watch the Cowboys kicker miss a field goal in a short field goal in one of their gotta have it games. I watched the Jags kicker miss a field goal this last week. It's like, kickers miss. No one is perfect, so I don't see Cairo Santos going anywhere next year. I think Ben Johnson, like you said, he trusts him. He believes in him. He knows his range. He knows where he is. And like we said last week, he doesn't want to kick field goals anyway. He wants touchdowns. So why not have a guy you trust, that you believe in, that when you have to have a kick, you got him. He's not kicking a 60-yard field goal anyway. He's going to go for that. 4th and 6, around midfield. Okay, we're not going to punt this. I'm not kicking a field goal either. Let's go for this. That's Ben Johnson's mentality. Cairo Santos is the perfect kicker for that. So yeah, they may bring a guy in for a competition like a camp leg. Cairo Santos is going to be here next year in Chicago. I'm pretty sure.
It's good stuff. Bears won a playoff game, and I don't want to get into a situation where we're saying like, all right, well then, hey, that's it. This is our Super Bowl, right? Like I don't want to say that. I don't want to come off like that. I think in most Bears, let's transport you back to August just for a second. And you say, hey, here's the deal. Bears are going to win the North, and they're going to knock out the Packers in the wild card game, and that's it. That's all you get. Deal? No deal. What percentage of Bears fans jump and say, deal? Like I mean, absolutely, right? So regardless of what happens in this game this weekend, this is a banner year. This is great. This feels like a little bit of Bears are back, baby. The curse is lifted, all this stuff, right? I feel that. Bears can win this game. Like the Bears can beat the Rams. The Rams are a really good team. They may win the Super Bowl, but the Bears can beat them. Yeah. And so let's just sit. The pressure's off. This is, I think, my point. The pressure's off. There's no do you know a Rams fan? Do you go to work and you're like, oh God, I got 4 guys at work that just love the Rams. I don't know any Rams fans. They're not in your life. Who cares? Right? Do you know any 49ers fans? I know 1. Do you know any Seahawks fans? I know 0. Right? I got nobody in my life that cheers for NFC West teams. So who cares? Right? You don't have that. The pressure's off. You don't have to, you get to walk around with your chest out with all of the NFC North teams for the next 6 months, regardless of what happens here. But it's really fun that all these national guys are now watching the Bears, respecting what they're doing. The league has been put on notice. This team is not going to be overlooked next year. This team is going to come in with a lot of love, but they've got a real chance to do some damage here. So they're going to play the Rams. If they beat the Rams, I think they'll likely go to Seattle. I think the Niners are pretty beat up, and they just lost to the Seahawks in a pretty important game. Right. Kittle's hurt. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, there's a lot going on with that 49ers team. Would have been great, honestly, if the Eagles would have been able to take them out, because I think the Eagles are a little bit more beatable than the Rams. But if they're able to beat if the Bears are able to beat the Rams, probably going to Seattle for the NFC Championship game. How cool. All of this is just how cool. The Bears have arrived early, and they have a legitimate chance of continuing this. I don't think that there's a better situation that you could ask for right now as a Bears fan.
It feels like 84, right? When they were on the cusp, that's how I didn't think they'd be this good this quick, but it feels like they're already there. It feels like 05, right? When they went to the playoffs, and I think the Panthers knocked them out that year, right? It feels like they're on the cusp of winning a championship, the NFC Championship. And like you said, we've been on the Rams for months. Oh man, the Rams are good. This is an outstanding offense. Stafford's playing at an elite level. Nakua is just a fantastic receiver. They have a good running game. Of course, they have Sean McVay. This is clearly the best team in our eyes in the NFC, and it has been for the last few months. But they barely beat the Panthers in the playoffs. They got beat by the Falcons a few weeks ago. So it's there is no juggernaut in the NFC. Why not the Bears, right? They got the Los Angeles Rams coming to Soldier Field, and Soldier Field is going to be electric. Look, I don't think they could be quite as wild as they were against the Packers when that literally building was shaking. You heard people that have been there for their whole lives saying, I've never heard it this loud. That may not happen again, but it might. I mean, they might just be just as jacked up. It's because there's more on the line. It's the divisional round. You win this, like you said. Now you're playing for the conference championship. Let's go.
It's an actual trophy game. Next week. So
they get the hat and t-shirt game too, right? They get one of those.
That's a real thing. Yeah, but they give you a real trophy, in that NFC Championship game. So, and it's called the George Halas Trophy, yes. By the way. All right, that's enough for us for the podcast. We'll stick around a little bit for the YouTubers, and man, we are just excited to be able to do at least one more of these. So that's pretty cool. So, full lineup coming up. If you've enjoyed our content, I would ask, could you maybe go to your where you get podcasts and hit subscribe? Helps us out a lot. We don't ask very often, but gonna ask here. Would be nice if you could hit that, and maybe steal your partner's phone and hit subscribe for them, and maybe tell your parents, tell your friends, like, hey man, subscribe to these guys. Maybe check them out. That helps us out a lot, and I would you have my thanks if you're willing to do that. So until next time, really appreciate it, everybody. Bear down. What do you got?
Going back to the Trapillo injury, Nakobe Dean tore his patellar tendon in the walk around last year, was back by October. Everyone's different. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think we talked to Mason. He mentioned 6 to 12 months. It all depends on the severity of the injury. I mean, maybe he is going to be able to get back by October next year. Who knows what happens here? He's a bigger guy. We'll kind of see how that plays into effect. But that injury sucked because he really started coming on. And as fans, you're like, yeah, they got left tackle figured out. They got all 5 of these guys figured out now up front. And then that happens. It sucks. It gives them another option now they have to think about in the off season. But I mean, that's fine. I mean, maybe Braxton Jones comes back on a 1-year prove it, and they get him back, and they have Beneday, who they trust enough to kind of throw out there. They'll find someone. And because Ben Johnson is the coach, I'm not worried about that because he'll scheme around whatever he has to.
He'll scheme around. Ben Johnson's the coach, and the Bears are an exciting team. There's going to be some people that are going to say, I want to go play there. Yes, right? Like, it's not crazy to think that there might be a vet that is like, I got maybe 1 or 2 years left. I could use, you could use my services. Let's do this thing. Right. It's not crazy. It's not crazy.
Packers Live and Meltdown. It's funny how those the Gamecast watcher guys, right?
Oh, like first of all, can we talk about this idea of like who is watching another human
watch
like live talk through their thoughts while they're watching the game? I mean, one of them is the comedian guy that I didn't know that's who it was, but like I watched that whole clip. It's like 10 minutes long, right? I'm sorry, I'm taking your thunder, but like I watched that 10-minute clip, and the one guy I thought was like, that guy's kind of funny, and then he turns out he's like an actual comedian, and like because I watched the last time, I was like, he seems like I'd hang out with this guy, right? And he's a comedian. Okay, well that makes sense. He had a good presence. There was one guy, and I won't call him out, but like I was like, who in the right mind
boring
is listening to this guy? This guy is brutal. Like, even just as like a presence, it was like, this guy sucks. But yeah, not my thing. I mean, look, we talk for a week, and we do this podcast, so maybe some people would think that's crazy. But like during the game, I don't want to hear somebody else talk through what's happening in the Bears game. Like that sounds like a terrible idea. And there's multiple of these guys doing it for the Packers.
The thing is so crazy is they're doing it, right? They're putting themselves out there on social media, and look, when it's going good for them, they're talking trash, right? That's the whole point of these things is they're getting fired up and they're talking trash to other fan bases out that they may happen to come across their feed, right? And then now when it's not good for them, now they're getting mad. How dare you share my clip of me being sad about my team? Get out of here. What? You're putting yourself out there on social media, and now you're mad because people are going to use it against you because you're a moron. Look, this whole Gamecast thing, I did it for a year. I did like 5 or 6 games with a guy, and it was weird, but we didn't do play-by-play, right? Because like that's weird. Like, who cares? I don't want to hear your play-by-play. Look, there's only one play-by-play for Chicago I want to hear, and that's Jeff Joniak, right? So we weren't doing play-by-play. We would kind of talk in the commercials. Like, we would kind of talk. We kind of just watch the game. Oh, great play. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. And unless they pay me a good amount of money, I can't.
Everything has its price.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the price would be pretty high for me to do it because I just don't think that it's I don't think I could create good content
Yeah.
doing that because I'm I'm not Ben Johnson psycho, but like I'm a little bit like I mumble to myself. I'm talking through scenarios. Like I think if people watched a game with me and I was in my normal element, people be like, yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
Like because I'm like, okay, all right, let's see, it's second down. You got this many seconds. Okay, like okay, two more first downs, and I think this game's over. Like I mean, I'm doing math in my
You have
head.
math, yeah.
I'm like constantly, right? Like I'm thinking through scenarios. I'm thinking, there's so much that I'm trying to live think through that if I was broadcasting that, I would have to like change my personality in watching a game.
Yeah.
And then that would feel very fake because that's not, I've been doing this a long time, I've been watching football a long time, and that's how I take it in, right? So it's like I I don't know what the appeal is as a consumer. That sounds terrible. I really don't understand the appeal as a content creator because I want to bring good analysis to the people that we're lucky enough to listen to us. And I think that it would be I think you guys would think I was kind of crazy. I think that you'd be like, Jeff's nuts. Like this is not a way to watch a game. I don't know why he watches games like this, but that's how I do it. Right? Like it's
Yeah.
not rational. Or I have the sound on really low most of the time. Like I think if you watched a game with me, you'd be like, you want to turn that up a little bit? I'd be like, oh sure, I guess. Like because I'm trying to keep calm. Because if you jack up the sound too much, like then you're just like, you just kind of get overwhelmed. And it's like, nah, I don't need to like hear it as much as I need to see it, So I'm pretty low. I try to keep calm. It is what it is, man. We've all got our rituals, but why would you want to watch other people watch a football game?
It's
Just
this
blows my
whole
mind.
it's a TikTok mentality, right? It's like
I
people watching other, and then the thing with the reaction videos, let's watch someone watching the game. Like it's like levels of it. It's like, oh my
okay.
God,
I
I
know
can never do it. It
I
just
know
makes
this
no
isn't totally football, but like I have watched a couple of like reaction videos of people that are experts at something watch like a musician do something like
Yes.
this is a
Yeah.
person that really knows music and they're watching this music
Yeah.
video or this clip of this person singing and they're like, oh man, okay, well here's they kind of break it down because I don't know anything about that. And so like to me, like I'm watching them actually watch it and then like their reactions and they're like pausing and they're kind of talking through it. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of to me,
Yeah.
that's somewhat interesting content, right? But to like I mean, I certainly don't need to watch somebody else watch a football game. I guess maybe that's maybe that's part of it. It is a concept that I really wasn't really familiar with. And I know that you did it, but like it's like you weren't into it. You were like, this is kind of dumb. I never checked you, I never did it. Like you're my podcast partner. I
Yeah.
never like watched you do this live stream thing. Like I absolutely not. Like, and you're my good friend and my podcast partner, and we've known each other for over a decade. I didn't tune in to you ever doing it. Like, there was no way. Like, there was no way I was going to do that.
There's no way I would watch anyone do it either. So when they approached me to do it, I'm like, you know, I told you where I did it. I did it for the money. They said at some point here's our business plan. It had some big time people attached to it. I'm like, okay, I'll give it
On
a
the ground
shot.
floor.
Yeah, I'll get on the ground floor because there's other times where I've had things approach to me and it's like early on in the thing, and I'm like, nah, 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 and then I'm like, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'll try this one. And the guy I was doing it with, I got paired up with, was weird. We went to high school together. We didn't know each other, so it was like, oh, kind of neat. That kind of now brought that bears them into my bear. Like we kind of merged, our circle. So it's kind of neat to have that happen. But yeah, it was not fun, and I'll never do that again. And I can't watch anyone do it. It's just ridiculous.
I had a buddy that I worked with, and he's a Bears fan. He's like, oh, we should go watch a game. I was like, yeah, sure. So we went, years ago, and we went to a bar, and he would talk. I mean, like he watches games. He's a big fan. Like he would talk to me during the game. And I think at one point I was like, shh.
Yeah.
And then like the commercials would start and I'd start, and then I would like engage with him. Like we talk, I fully engaged, and then the game would come back on. It's like, my attention's back. And he told me later, he's like, you are not fun to watch a game with. Like you were like, it is like like I felt like I was breaking a rule and like getting in trouble from the principal if I was talking during the game action. And I'm like, yeah, like what are you doing? And we would go every year I would go to like the same group's Super Bowl party. And one year I was, and I'm watching the game. There's one of my buddies for sure, like locked into the game. And commercial hits and we start talking. And I got shushed. And there's noise, everybody's talking, while the game's going on because no one gives a shit, right? And I'm like, I'm locked in, my buddy's locked in. We start talking about what just happened, and I get shushed because they want to watch the commercials. And I was like, "Oh, this is." I literally got up and I found a different TV in a
Was
different
it
part
the
of the
Super
house.
Bowl? No, just a regular.
Super Bowl.
Well,
I know the Super Bowl commercials are a thing.
well,
I understand, but
yeah,
like I'm here to watch a football game.
no,
So I went and like found a different TV, and my buddy's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm downstairs
yeah.
watching the game." And
Leave me
like
alone. Yeah.
two other guys came down and like we watched the game from the basement for the rest of the
Nice.
game. But I was like, I'm here to watch a game. So I don't know. It's just a different. I can't get over this idea of people watching people watch a football game.
That's right.
I'm just not. I can't fathom it.
Let's do one more. We'll get back on track football here and we'll get out of here. Any thoughts on Stevenson's usage versus Rams receivers? Could we get more of a look this week? Yeah, I think it's possible. I think something happened where Stevenson was kind of in the doghouse a bit. He didn't play a lot for a stretch there. I think part of it was just Jalen's getting back, getting healthier. So his usage was increasing. They liked Nashawn Wright. What he was doing, it kind of kept him out there. But then this week, Stevenson got some play, and there were a couple moments where you watch him and you're like, you can like, there's a little lax in him, right? Where you're like, hey, why is he not going all out to this play? The announcers called out a couple times, but overall, I thought he played pretty good. And if Jalen needs a blow, if Nashawn Wright, who we love Nashawn Wright, he's a ball hawk, but he had some issues before. And if the Rams are going to go out there and they're going to throw the receivers at you all the time, I mean, Stafford threw for 4,700 yards. They're going to sling this ball around, right? So if one of you guys needs a blow, Jalen Johnson's not all the way back. Kyler Gordon may not be all the way back. Yeah, I want to see some Tyreek Stevenson out there against these Ram receivers.
Be very curious to see where CJGJ is at. If he's able to come back from his concussion, which he clearly had a concussion on that one, like no doubt about it. So everybody responds a little bit different to concussions, but if he's back and you've got Gordon, who's I know that they picked on him in the Packers game, they picked on Gordon, but another week of recovery. The Bears are going to play on Sunday, so that's an extra day. Like I think he's going to play most of the game. I'm sure he'll get through it, and I think he'll be more effective than he was in this last one. So I don't know how many snaps he need from Stevenson, honestly, but yeah, he'll get in a little bit. But I think it's a big Gordon game. I think Gordon's going to be the key to a lot of things because when he's healthy and on, that Bears defense has a certain edge to it, and if you can have CJGJ also in there or them splitting the reps, that's going to make them pretty like close to full power. So that I don't know. I'm not quite worried about
the Bears are undefeated this year with Kyler Gordon plays. They're 4-0.
He's really good. I mean,
He
it's just has not been able to stay healthy. It's really unfortunate because this defense really could be one or two players away from not being a liability and being good, right? Like it's just like seems like it's just they could turn on that knife's edge. But I think maybe 8 days isn't enough, but I feel like it's hopefully close enough for him to make a big difference here.
He did not get hurt. He did not re-aggravate himself.
Yep.
That's good. That's, like you said, another week past the injury. I'm sure this week he'll be practicing in full. So maybe he's as close to 100% as you can be at this time of year. And like you said, when he's in there, Bears play pretty good. He's a good football player. He can do a lot of stuff for you. At the line of scrimmage, in coverage. Like I said, he almost had a couple picks. They picked on him, but he made plays when he had to. So Bears gonna win.
Bears got a chance. Let's do this thing. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. We're gonna get out of here, and we'll see you next week.